Welcome to Live, Laugh, Talk. I'm your host, James Graham. And you know what? It's part 2 of episode 50. It's a party. Yes, episode 50. So we've got more guests calling in. We've got a lot of happy things going on. But we want to ask you one more time, if you have any show ideas as we get into the next week, and you have any concerns, something on your mind, admin at livelaughtalk.com. Email us there, admin at livelaughtalk.com. In addition, if you're listening on Spotify, you can add a voice memo as well as comments and participate in our poll. Also, wherever it is you listen to the podcast, because we're on all the platforms, please follow us so that you're notified of the new episodes when they're released. Again, we want to welcome you to a fun show. Episode 50. It's really hard to believe that it's been 50 episodes. That's really hard. And when I look back and I reflect on the valuable lessons learned, I'll have to tell you, I didn't know podcasting would be so hard. You've got to be a writer. You've got to be the producer. You've got so many other roles. You're on the microphone. There's everything that falls upon one individual. But then you got to find your niche. You got to get into that mode where I go back, I listen to my first episode, and then I listen to now. How it transformed and changed. Even my delivery changed. I remember on the very first episode, I recorded it all in one take, 4 different segments, went through it all the way together, and didn't piece anything together from another episode I had already recorded or anything like that. Just all of it one time, bam. I couldn't do that consistently. No, I have to record it in segments. Even if it's all in one day, one night, or what have you, it's in parts. Because I can't imagine getting on the mic and just doing that all over again. Just where I just hit the mic and don't hit stop until I've done 4 straight. No, can't do it. I also like the musical interludes in there. Adding that. That's been awesome. And there's just so many other things that I've learned, like getting others to come on as guests, also as hosts. And that's something I always wanted to. But I've learned that that's not easy. Now, if you start something, think about which of your friends you would be able to go to and say, come on the mic with me. I know I had in my mind all of my friends. It didn't work out like that. Some of them are so shy about getting on the microphone. And I get it. I'm shy too. But I tell you, that's one of the things that I've learned. But I have so much fun doing this. It is my outlet. It really is my survival because I enjoy talking to you and I enjoy hearing what you guys give me back. And speaking of giving me back, all of the feedback that you give, the ideas, especially for the special interests and hobbies, they're appreciated. The poems that you give for the sunflower message, that's also a joy. And we appreciate you, our guests. There's just so many things that I can say about the listeners and the way that they even comment and tell us the things that they've been through in their personal life. But you know what? It's my passion because I'm passionate about people. You motivate me. And that's what keeps me podcasting. I actually talk about daily life, what I go through, and what I enjoy about meeting new people. So it's all about that. That is the basis of this entire podcast. It's people. And some of the behind the scenes stories I can tell you about some of the funny mishaps I've been recording. Maybe I've gotten to the end of the segment. I'm almost there. And all of a sudden, I get a knock at the door. Then the dogs are barking. This, that, and the other. Oh, man, irritated to the point that I had to put a sign on my door because I have neighbors that love me, and I had to say, "Hey, recording," so they would know not to knock on the door. Love the neighbors too. They've been awesome. They've been a joy to live amongst. And then there's some other funny behind the scenes. I have been recording and did not even recognize that I was not recording. I did not hit the mic button one time, and one time I did, but the mic wasn't plugged up. I'm just a talking, I'm going to town, and then I look down and there's nothing there. So that was an irritation. But to get to this milestone where we're at 50, it's not the only milestone. We've been charted. We were able to reach number 25 on Good Pods. That's because of you. You guys are listening. You guys tune in. That was amazing. That was an accomplishment. Some more, we were able to get a sponsorship with Spotify. As you heard the commercials that ran there, that was an achievement because you have to have so many listeners to get to that number. And again, who is that? That's you guys. We've also gotten recognition by other podcasters. I've been on other podcasts like Sports for You, which was a whole lot of fun because I got to talk 2 hours about sports. And then we've also had the opportunity to be on the podcast We Live, where I got eaten by a zombie. That was a lot of fun. So, it's been a fine road, a lot of joy, a lot of audience involvement, and a lot of appreciation for you, our listeners. You mean so much. And what we ask is that you continue with us and you continue to watch us grow. And also join in. Let us know what it is you want to hear and what you like so that we can do those things. We want that. We want that relationship with you. And we're going to continue to make it happy. So I'm going to conclude this part of the segment with the top 5 moments of the past 50 episodes. I would say if we start with number 5, having our first guest on the show. That was monumental for me because when I started the show, I never wanted to be by myself. But then to have a guest in here, and that was Riley, that was amazing. It was awesome. She sat in the room right beside me, and we just started riffing off of each other. And since then, she's been in an accident. We wish her the best of health. That's why she haven't been here with us. But may she get well soon. And that was a milestone. We'll start there at number 5. That was a great moment. Number 4 was when we had a guest host for the entire episode. That was amazing. Again, we plugged in, we did that thing miles away from each other, but it sounded like we were sitting right next to each other. And I tell you, we had so much fun. We laughed and joked, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback from that. I would have to say the third moment that was amazing was when I actually got on the mic and I started talking about the little girls that's in my life, my friends' daughters that I kept for that period of time. And I got a lot of feedback from you, the audience, about the fact that I said I could not leave them at school. After I was able to get into the school, hand her laptop without any ID or anything being asked, and I just thought about that, and then I just for 5 days while I had them, I went down the street, and I was very close to the school because I just couldn't go back to work 40 miles away and think about them being there. And I have to say that was a memorable moment because you guys chimed in on how scared you are to have your children go to school in this time. So I thought that was one of those moments that we had to we had to have a come to Jesus, as they say. Number two would be the episode regarding the loss of black mothers during childbirth, because I got to the point that I stood up in the studio and I was gesturing, and I was you could hear the passion. And I think that was the first time that I realized that passion doesn't have to be in person. You can feel it through the mic and through your speakers now that it's been recorded. And I really think that that's an episode that's special, and for the reason that we're losing so many black mothers. The number one moment of the last 50 episodes is this: the fact of having 50 episodes, to have people who have been pioneers of this movement, I can say, to now be on the show. And you get to hear their voices. There were some other voices I wanted you to hear as well. Unfortunately, they couldn't be with us, but you get to hear very important people in my life. And I think this episode is going to be special because we're going to end it with my father. And I've talked about him so many times on these episodes. You guys are going to hear his voice. And I tell you, when I listen to that and listen to he and I interacting with each other, it's almost a tearjerker. So I want to hear your feedback. And I want to also tell you that you are the reason. You're the reason for the podcast. And to say it again, we need you. We love you. You mean everything to us. And we're absolutely nothing without you. So let's listen to our callers. Andrew and Sparkle calling in. How you guys doing today?
We're doing good.
We're doing great. It's good to be talking to you. It's been too
It,
long.
it's been too long. We can't let that keep on. It has been way too long. So to kind of introduce you guys to our listening audience, I feel like I grew up with Andrew. Like I feel that way, but Andrew will beg to differ because I'm so much older. But I feel
Much
like he's
more.
been in my life forever. He married this beautiful woman named Sparkle. Her name actually defines her personality, and so to kind of give you guys background, we yeah, Andrew and I've had a chance to live together, to laugh together, to watch football together. Football hasn't been the same since I left Ohio without Andrew sitting in that room with me. And then it's funny how things evolve over time. Andrew gets busy with work and whatever else, and now I talk to Sparkle more than I do Andrew. So it's like how things changed over time, and now Sparkle is the one who checks up on me and makes sure that I'm doing okay and all of that, and it's so much appreciated. And aside from that, folks, the listening audience, they are huge fans of this show. So I'm gonna shut up and let y'all talk a little bit. Tell us about how you guys how you listen to it, or give us any information that you like to share.
Well, I'll go ahead and get started. Uh, actually, I had thought about starting a podcast on my own for a long time.
Really?
It never happened, but so needless to say, when I heard that you were starting a podcast, I was very excited um, because that's how I spend the majority of my day. Before the pandemic, I would be listening to podcasts driving to work and coming from work and during work. And since the pandemic, I work from home, so there's not as much driving and listening, but I still spend the majority of my day listening to podcasts. And for me, I'm a big fan of true crime. So that's
Okay.
what 90% of the podcasts that I listen to are about.
Wow.
So, um, obviously, your podcast is quite a break from my norm, which is a good thing for me. So,
Yeah, we don't talk about too much crime. I think,
Mhm.
honestly, though, the one episode we had about how little teachers are paid, that's a true crime. But that's
Yes.
probably
Mhm.
that's
Yes.
probably the only crime we've talked about. But I'm a huge fan of true crime episodes. I love all genres of podcasts. I've been listening to this one where this guy, he actually started an old school hip hop podcast, and he has gotten to be so big now that he gets to interview all of the old school artists that I grew up loving. So, that's I've seen his show grow from him in the basement to now he's at award shows and everything else. Um,
Wow, that's awesome.
so I love that kind of stuff, but the self help things. I think that it probably was a good fit for me because I like listening to those too. But the true crimes are, some of them kind of scare me. I'm like, I like listening to them, but I've listened to a couple of them, and I'm like, ooh, man, that's scary. And what happened there?
Mhm.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah, I've
but
listened
Sparkle,
to
yes,
yeah,
talk
I've
to us.
listened to a few with Andrew, and I think like I don't listen to a lot of true crime like he does, but some of them I didn't realize that most true crime podcasts it's like a cold case. So I'm
Mm.
sitting here like, okay, and then what happened? He's like, they haven't found it, and I'm like, yeah, see, I can't do it because I need to get down to, I need to know what the outcome was. I need
Right.
to know, and it's like there isn't an outcome. Darn it, I have to, But um, with your podcast and stuff, I'm a night owl, but I also have insomnia. So I tend to listen to them when everybody else is asleep, which
Right.
is nice because I'm not going to be interrupted. And you had a few episodes, different ones that touched on. I liked the one that you talked about challenges facing young people
Yeah.
because a friend of mine, we were talking, and our kids are around the same age. Their daughter's 15, and we were talking, and they just recently, I think they started last year, they decided to homeschool their daughter. And so
Okay.
they were asking me what programs I used to teach. And I make the curriculums for the boys. They have to go through the school board and certified and all that stuff to make sure there's, like in Ohio, there's laws that you have to make sure they're being taught by. So I have to get them certified, and the school district the boys are in, they I know their superintendent, and we've talked to her and worked with her and stuff so that everything is taught. But once that's the basis that's done, then I can add, take away, do stuff and teach them in a way that it also gives them the specific things that you're going to use in day to day life that
Mm.
they need to have an idea of. And so with my friend, we were talking, and she said it's made a really big difference because she said that, she goes, our daughter's 15, and their kids are extremely sweet. It's like an extension of our family. But she was saying, she goes, you have the challenges they face. Like their daughter's absolutely beautiful. And she's really sweet and everything, and she's like, but she would go to school, and she said that a teacher's assistant, and this guy's like, he's training to be a teacher's assistant,
Right.
17, maybe almost 18, and he was like talking to her, and she was like, she could tell immediately. She's like, and she told her mom and dad, she said it just made me uncomfortable, so I let a teacher know, and this, that, and the other. And she was telling him, she was like, everybody's genre and age, they've gone through different era of times. We've gone through stuff our parents didn't go through, vice versa.
Right.
But man, what kids face now is just, it blows my mind
Mm.
because it's either you've got to have a decision of what you're going to be and this, that, and the other. And with our boys, we work with them as best we can, help them to understand, that your a person's mind is not fully developed until they're close to 25.
Right.
And you're sitting here now, and kids are being told You need to know what you are and who you are and this. They're not allowed to be kids.
Right.
It's like, on the one hand, we want them to be innocent and be able to experience childhood and this, that, and the other, but then they flip and turn around and it's, you're not a kid, you're not this, you have to know this, you have to know that. And it's like, adults don't even know that. Why in the world would you put this type of pressure on kids? They have enough pressure as it
Mm.
is. And
Yes.
so I liked the fact, that episode that you did, just the different challenges, because some of the challenges that were brought up, no matter where you're at, where you live, how you're raised, those are just challenges every child's going to go through in one way or another.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
there's
right.
some that some kids won't go through and some will. I know that my friend, we were talking about it, and her husband's a firefighter. And I asked her every time, I said, how do you handle knowing when he goes to work? That's like, he was a firefighter before he met her. But I always sit there and think, how do you deal with knowing when he goes to work? I mean, that's a dangerous job,
Isn't it
you
though?
know.
Is
Ooh,
it though? They got
and
two in the family.
mhm. And she said, we were talking one day, and she said, I just realized, she said, how our son's raised. We want him to be safe and make sure he's protected. And she said, but I just realized it's not just that simple for your boy. She said, especially James, because he's darker. It's not just the simple protections he needs. It's it could just be him walking down the street. And because he's a darker color, something could happen. And she
Yes.
said, she goes, that fear, she goes, my husband, he goes, okay, I'm going to go run to the store. I'll be back. She goes, and I, don't want to worry. I hope he doesn't get in an accident, this, that, and the other. She said, but something as simple as Andrew going out to do that, she said, that the thought of just he ran to the store and something could happen just because of the color he is, she said, it blows her mind.
Mm.
And she said, she goes, I've never, she goes, until I've gotten closer with you guys, she goes, it's not that I've never noticed or didn't take notice. She goes, but I really sat there and thought, you really have to teach your sons a whole different type of safety. She goes, that I would never have to teach my son.
So true.
And that's it's things like that, that the challenges that, you have to do with your kids. So I really liked just the different challenges you brought up, because every generation has challenges. But even talking to my parents, my dad was telling me he absolutely loves kids. Loves, I mean, if he could, this family would be even bigger than what it is. But he told me one day, he said, he goes, the two things I would not want to do nowadays? He goes, I would not want to be starting in a new marriage. He goes, and I would not want to have kids. He
Yeah.
said, because I don't know if I could do it. He said, I look at everything, and he said, and just looking at my grandchildren and what I worry about and what they go through, he said, your mom and I worry about you guys and you're adults. He goes, but my goodness, he goes, the worry that you have to worry about for the generation your kids are in, he said, I don't know if I could do it as a parent.
Yeah, the
And that's
things we
saying a
talked
lot.
about in that episode was like that. So much that our young people
Mm-hmm.
have to go through, and we don't even think about it. It's so much in addition to that we have, and we even talked about another episode where we have schools, where we have gun violence. We talked about how it affects
Mm-hmm.
schools, things like that. But what we haven't talked about, and things I plan to talk about, I would love to have you guys on the show, is more stuff that we have to deal with today, like dealing with children on the spectrum.
Yep.
Mhm.
I would like to have that conversation that you just mentioned too of a podcast. I'm always writing, so as you know, because it's 4 segments, 3 times a week, so I'm always writing. But also about
Yeah.
having the talk with our young black men.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be a such thing as the talk, but when we say that, we know what we're talking about. We
Yep.
know
Yeah.
that and then as your children are getting older and they get to that
Mm-hmm.
driving age, and now you got to worry about them, being pulled over and know what to do so some officer don't, it don't turn into a bad night for everybody. We'll put it that way. So
Right.
hmm
things that our young people have to deal with on a
Mhm.
daily basis. It's like they're going to war every day. Like going to school is like war zone, and
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
your kids have the wonderful privilege of at this point in their life or at a point in life being homeschooled. But just
Mhm.
going into the school system, I volunteer. I do a lot of the stuff in the school system, and children just they go through things. I mean, when I was in sixth, seventh, eighth grade, I wasn't even thinking about the things that that they have to deal with.
Right.
But
Yeah.
here it is. It's in their face. I mean, they have some of the topics that we've even discussed, like sexting and things like. I mean,
Mhm.
that we didn't have because we didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have
Nope.
a camera phone, so we didn't have that to worry about.
Nope.
Now, these things, these issues are real, and they're facing
Oh,
our children.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
like
so
some of the things, yeah, as an adult, you look at and you go, okay, well, I'd have to steer clear from that. And I mean, Andrew and I do our best to make sure we prepare the boys. The boys, I know at times, sometimes homeschool's gotten the stigma of, okay, well, they don't do anything and they only home. That's not how we are with our boys. They're active, they're involved, they understand if peer pressure comes up. We've had situations where even from very little, they've had to take their stand of, well, no, I don't smoke, or no, I don't do this, and this is why I don't. And it's stepping back and letting them do it.
and that's a
And
beautiful thing.
it's and I mean that's the thing is I know that at time there's parents who may not be on the same wavelength. Andrew and I were on different wavelengths when it came to when James was little, if we homeschool him or not. And then um the school shooting that happened in Sandy Hook. When that happened, I was not even aware on the news, and Andrew had called me on his lunch break and he's like, have you seen the news? You need to check the news. And I think I was pregnant with Kevin. And I check the news, and school shootings are terrible no matter what spectrum it happens. But
Right,
it is the first time that I was like, oh my goodness, these are kids James's age.
right,
And
right.
I just sat there, and I've always had that, even when we were in school or even when Columbine started. I remember that was kind of the big in the United States, a huge thing when that happened. But
Yeah.
man, when that happened, then when Andrew came home and we talked, and he was like, "All right, we'll look at try it your way," because it was just that kind of jolt. It was just kind of like, and I had a few other friends that the wife she wanted to homeschool, her husband didn't, or vice versa, and they said that that kind of shook them in their place to look at, okay, no, we're not gonna be able to protect our children from everything as much as we'd like to. You can't. But it was like really thinking about the certain aspects. Where can you protect them more? Where can you can't, and what you're gonna have to put in place of certain things if you decide to homeschool. It's making sure they still have that well-rounded experience as much as possible. So
Right,
it takes time to learn, but for us, especially with later on health issues that James ended up having, it happened to work better in our favor as far as even just with him. But yeah, that was probably the main thing. When that happened, it was like it kind of does. It's still, I mean, I still think of those families and those kids, and it's just
mhm.
like heart wrenching.
Yeah, it changed the nation, and it got
Hmm.
us to where we are now with our podcast with the whole "How did we get here?" Because
Hmm.
Yeah.
like overnight we have gotten here now. This is where we are, and while we're talking on that subject, the whole "How did we get here?" I want to let the public know too that it's this couple that came up with the swag. So that was not a thought. I didn't have an idea. None of it has anything to do with, hey, I was sat down with some marketing company and then we came up. No, I get a phone call from Sparkle who had. I'm gonna let you guys tell the story how y'all even came up with the whole concept because I love it, and it just had nothing to do with any thought that I came up with. So I'm gonna let y'all tell the story of how the swag came to be.
Well, like you mentioned, we're both avid listeners, and early on with each episode, I kept listening, and it's kind of like having a conversation with you, just like we are now. Listening to the podcast is kind of like a one-sided version of that. So, I was so excited, and I kept thinking in the back of my head, I need to do something for him and show him like, that I appreciate the podcast and what a great job that you were doing. And that question just kept popping up in my mind. How did we get here? So, my wife is ever the artist, always creating, drawing,
Yes,
doing
she does.
something. And, between that and me thinking about you and the podcast, that was my thought. I was like, we need to make, a t-shirt for him or something like that. And, we just kind of sat down and we started, playing with ideas back and forth, trying different designs on. And that eventually came to the t-shirts that we have now, and which turned into mugs and tote bags, and I'm sure there will be more and more as time goes on. And listening to a lot of podcasts, you they tend to talk about their swag. So that came up in my mind too. So I was just happy to be able to contribute something to you and the podcast to show how much I love you, how much we love you, and
Appreciate that. Really
you
do.
know honestly, your podcast. There's so many different sections that I appreciate. I'm probably more on the lighter side of the spectrum from Spark, just because so much of what I listen to is negative with true crime.
Right.
Um, the happy episode was probably one of my favorite
Okay,
complete
be happy.
episodes.
Yeah, that was
Um, and you talked about fantasy football and sports, and anytime I hear a quote thrown in from our boy Nas, that gets me excited.
and you hear a lot
So,
of nods on here on my podcast, whether you realize it or not.
yep, that's very true.
As I think it was you once put it, I'm like the only person can quote Tupac, Nas, and Jesus in the same sentence.
That's right.
Yeah, I definitely like. I mean, it definitely helped because I was able to. My brother started listening to your podcast because since he's the one, he had created the store, and then he approached me and he was like, I'm creating this store. I thought this would be a good idea. He was like, would you like to design for it? And I
Well,
was like, okay. I'm sitting there like, sure. Like, you could have said, hey, I have a picture. Would you want to design? I would have been fine. But when I was telling him about your podcast and he started listening to it, and then he was like, his mind just went, he goes, oh my goodness. He goes, because he listens to a lot of podcasts too. And
okay.
so, yeah, when I was talking to him, Kevin, he was like, he goes, man, he goes, okay, so like totes, mugs, yeah. And he goes, I've been sharing podcasts and this, that, and the other. And he was like, yeah, this seems like, yeah. He was like, I'm all for it. This is excellent. And so he had created the clever tea on Etsy. And when I was talking to Andrew, and he was like, this specific episode, what if we did something? And I was ready. I was like, okay, let's do something. I was so excited. So I mean, I was just making sure that you could make somebody else happy,
Yeah,
and
make
I'm
people
able to do
smile.
that. Yeah, I'm able
And it
to,
does. I'm sorry.
which is, oh no, you're fine, but I'm fortunate enough that Kevin felt like, hey, this, because he said, he goes, you, this whole side of the business, he goes, you really know what you're doing. He gives me constant compliments, and that's not just from Oh, it's my older brother. It's you kind of always have this thing, especially if you have an older sibling, you kind of want to be able to be like, man, I made him proud. Okay, like he thinks I'm cool. Okay,
Yeah.
and so he was super excited once the time because when I talked to you on the phone, the moment I got off the phone with you, I called him and I was like, I have so much to tell you. Yeah, like that just
So,
made his week, made my weekend. We were just like, oh my goodness,
well, I was really
we were.
excited, and I'm still really excited about it. I think well, I mentioned every episode, and
Hmm.
but I have it myself. I wear it myself, and the awesome thing about it is great advertising because I'll just go to a local coffee shop or something, or I might be riding a motorcycle. I got the T-shirt on, and I get off the bike, and people are like, "What is? How did we get here?" And so, but I love the way you guys picked that segment because there is four and you pick the segment of that one, which you know it has slowly become the favorite segment. And but I was thinking like Andrew, like I'm a lighter side person, so I was thinking if we ever did anything like that, and this was just a passing thought in my head. I was like, it'll probably be something with the sunflower message, and we'll play with flowers or something like that. Have big flowers. I don't know. Well, I was thinking happy,
Hmm.
happy, happy. But then when you guys sent this to me and say, "Hey, what you thinking is how did we get here?" It just all seemed to work. So I really do. I love it. I love the swag. You guys came up with it. I take no credit for it. It was y'all's idea. And so people will be listening to the show again. I say, go to Etsy.com, search "How Did We Get Here," and you will see all of the awesome stuff. And you got more comments, Sparkle, right? You
Oh
got
yeah.
more ideas out there. You
Yep.
sent me some of
Uh, oh yeah. Yeah. I was just talking to my brother yesterday. We meet him and we meet and collaborate. And then if we want the person's opinion, like he even said, he goes, I would like to, he said, meet James again. He goes, maybe we set up a Zoom meeting or something. He goes, because we're very much when it's creating or putting out a brand or putting out something for somebody's merchandise, we very much want that person's opinion because we may create it, but we want to make sure people see you in your merchandise
right,
in some
right,
way, shape, or form. And so that helped immensely when Andrew, because he knows you the best. And that helped immensely when the color scheme, everything.
it
And he
did. It
was like,
works.
what if we did that? Yeah. And I mean, that's a question a ton of people ask just in general for anything they've gone through in their lives or what they're going through. That's a question they ask.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
and yeah.
a lot of people don't know, but even the color scheme, a lot of stuff that I did behind the scenes because my dad was like, "Hey, create a podcast," and then I just went, "Hey, let's do it." But like even the color scheme that's used is in
Hmm.
my way, it's a tribute to Prince. Like that's where the purple comes from.
There you
So
go.
it was my tribute to him, and but there's so many other things where I got like this quiet behind the scenes. I've never really talked about it where this idea came from in that one, but there's different.
Hmm.
But I love the way you incorporated all those colors together and the logo and the how that we get y'all created that. That is actually awesome, and I really appreciate not only you guys being fans of the show, but my personal family, my you're closer than friends. I love you guys dearly,
Hmm.
and in addition to that, fans, there's the love, but now you guys are also the creative mind behind the the merchandise, and I appreciate that too. Can't wait to see all the other stuff that's coming out. I was telling the public you guys have been working on hats, but I know there's
Hmm.
more stuff to come. We probably have tumblers or whatever that we
Yes.
you come up because you got a mind. And I want to mention before we go that your art means a lot to me because and we've had episodes. So we've had an episode where about
Yes.
losing a pet, and it was
Hmm.
your artwork that was on that episode. So when people go back and they look at the art on that picture drawn is actually of you drawing Princeton. And the one thing that you captured about him that I think is so awesome when I look at that picture. Now, again, I don't want to start busting out crying here, But it's so awesome is that you captured his human eyes. His eyes
Oh,
were
good.
more human like than I've ever seen in an animal, and you captured that in that picture. So I've gotten so many compliments like, where did you find that artwork on the? I'm like, that's actually my dog, and the artist did that. Then when my mother passed, you did the same.
Yeah.
You took a younger picture of my mom, and you captured the way she looked when she was 26 years old, which was an absolute stunner. Like she could have been a supermodel.
Oh, yeah.
She was
She,
gorgeous. And
oh, yeah.
you again, I don't want to get the tears flowing, but it's your artwork that brings joy because I have in my house your artwork. So we have,
Oh,
the picture of Princeton. We have my mother. We have the other picture that you painted of, it's actually a tribute to the Indian culture. So
uh-huh.
Native American Indian culture. So we want to give you some flowers. Thank you guys so much. I mean, it's just a joy having my brother and my sister on the show. And that's not enough love that I can give to y'all on the lines. I got to get back to Ohio and give it in person, give some big old hugs. But thanks for being here. Thanks for being there. Thanks for being a part of this show. Love you
Well,
Thank
guys
you.
so much.
Love you too.
we love you too. I'm just happy to be a part of your podcast and a part of this process, my brother.
Yeah, thank you so
We
much. That's some serious honor in the art. I really appreciate that.
well, we appreciate you. Y'all have a lovely night. We're going to let you go. Take care.
Okay. All right.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Hey, Cammie, what's going on?
Hey, how are
Oh, I'm doing
you?
fantastic. And yourself?
I'm doing amazing since being able to come on here and talk to you.
Well, I am so happy that you did. Been waiting on you to come on the show anyway, but I'm so happy that you
Yes.
called in on the 50th party.
Woohoo! Round of applause. Yes, congratulations. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you believe 50 episodes? Can you believe
From you, yes.
that? Yeah, I think we had that conversation. We were actually
Yes,
talking one
yes.
time. I was like, "What you think about me, doing less episodes a week?" And you was like, "Well, no, you keep it the way you're doing it because you love to talk and you love to talk to the people, so you can make it happen." And I'm glad I listened to you. I'm glad I kept it the way it is.
Absolutely. Yes, and I'm so excited to hear, what comes next.
Well, so many ideas, so many things. Like you and I talked about with the whole videos. I'm gonna, and I'll
Yeah.
test the waters. We'll see. We'll do like an episode or two, but and see if it catches on. If the people like the audio only, we'll see. But YouTube, they won't let me on there with just my audio. So that's the only way that I can break the ice. But there'll
Absolutely.
be
That
more
makes
things to
sense.
come, more guests like yourself. I sure hope
Yes,
you come
yes,
on.
yes.
You know,
Absolutely. Would love to be there.
I need you on talking about fashion,
Ooh.
hair, your whole
Ooh.
thing, all of your concepts, even some of these new ideas that you got
Ooh.
in the works that you've been talking about. So we need to get you on the show, especially on our hobbies section. You would be amazing because there's so much you could talk about. So let's make that a reality. Even if it go video, we can have you video
Yeah.
on
Oh,
there
now
instead.
video. Yes.
That'll
Yes,
be
yes, yes.
cool. That'll be cool. So what
Absolutely.
you got going on your end?
Well, let's see. Working on a few things. Definitely like listening to your show has really helped me kind of think more about the future and planning things out and letting go of fear because I know
Right.
you speak on positive thinking and building self-confidence. Those two
Exactly.
episodes really stuck with me because that's something I've been working on the last, I would say, 3 years.
Okay.
Really, yeah, letting go of like toxic friendships and
Mm,
family and stuff, and really trying to like focus on what makes me happy for once.
that's so
And
important.
yeah, like listening to, the show has really helped me, and I have been really into working out, and I go every single day.
All right now,
So,
doing
yeah,
that
so
thing.
absolutely. So just hearing your voice and listening to the podcast has really been helpful. Because I feel like I'm talking to you, I mean, well, I'm not talking, I'm just listening, but it's just very comfortable and very I could tell it's very natural for you. So I love it.
I
And
appreciate
it
that.
really does help with all the things I've got going on, all the life changes, stepping into 30.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow. And
yeah.
you're still a baby.
Oh yeah. That's what people are saying. And I'm like, okay, I like that.
Yeah, I remember 30. It seemed like it wasn't
I
that
like
long
that.
ago, but it was. But
Yeah, okay. That's okay. We won't talk numbers. It's about how you feel.
what it's
It's
all
about how you
about. That's what it's
feel.
all about. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're feeling good and working out. So what you're doing is you're doing the whole combination. You're getting the mind, body,
Yes. Yes.
soul, everything
Everything.
in all in unison. And that's what we got to do. And that's what the show is about. Like you mentioned, it's
Yeah.
about just getting back to proper health,
Yeah.
mental health, physical health in every way.
Absolutely.
Because it's just so much out there that just brings us down, and if we allow it, it can suck us in. And like you said, those toxic people, stuff like that.
Hmm.
I mean, all of that just, especially if you like yourself, you're a very loving person, you care about
Yep.
everybody, and then you run into these toxic people that just take advantage of it,
Oh,
and that's no good, and you
seems
don't
like I'm a
deserve
magnet.
it.
Well, I'm going to speak past tense because I'm really working on, focusing on myself. So, closing those doors, like I am a victim of being a people pleaser.
Right.
So, yeah, after conversations with you and again listening to the show, it's really helped me to kind of like change my mindset, change my thinking.
Well, I'm glad of that. I'm glad of that. Glad we can be helpful. I'm glad that you
Absolutely.
enjoy the show, and so you listen most of the time when working out. Is that what we're
I
saying?
do, I do.
Okay.
I like to start my day with your show because it's just like again, just so natural, so positive. And yeah, I just love hearing your voice. So
Uh,
why not just start my day that way?
well,
Yeah, I
thank
listen
you.
to it mostly in the gym or like driving to work. I have a very short commute, but sometimes I have to break it up, just depending on what I've got going on. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially when we got guests, and sometimes the show goes over an hour. I
oh
can imagine you
yes,
got to
I
break
have
it
to
all
break
up,
those
man. But
up.
I'm glad
Yes,
that
I
you
have to
you
break
hang with
down.
us through it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I'm still, I learned so much from you. I just feel like you'll like never run out of things to talk about. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you. You don't know how much that means to me.
absolutely.
Honestly,
Yes,
no, you just have no idea how much all of this means. Calling in, being a part of the
absolutely.
50th, because you are a
Yes,
very important part of my life, and it's so great to have you here to share this moment with me.
absolutely, absolutely. I wouldn't miss it.
Well,
I
thank
would
you
not
so
miss it.
much. You are amazing in yourself. Love you
Thank you.
bunches,
Thank
and
you. Love
I
you
will
too.
talk to you soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Congratulations
Thank
once again.
you.
Yes. All right.
50.
50. Woohoo.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Dad. How you doing today?
I'm having a really good day.
Well, I'm glad about that. Me too. You know why it's such a great day? And I know it's because you called in on show number 50. Ain't that
I tell you, we keep it rolling.
something? We're going to keep doing it, baby. And I say we because, like I have said on this show before, that allow me to remind the public, the listening public out there. Yeah, I was in my darkest place, mentally, physically, just wasn't myself. And there was a lot of death and sickness and all of this going on. And I get this call from you. and you said like many times a day. We that father and son that talk all the time. And so you said, have you thought about doing a podcast? And I'm like, podcast? Like, no. And he's like, you ought to think about it. So that was that the Wednesday night. You mentioned that to me. I stayed up all night long studying podcasts. Like, how do you make one? What do you do? Created a website, this, that, and the other. And then Sunday I was on the air, and that's all because of you. That would have we're at show 50, but that would have never been a show 1 if it wasn't for you. So I want to take the time right now to thank you for that. I love you dearly, and I thank you for even suggesting this outlet for me.
Well, this is something that should have been done a long time ago, but maybe this was the right time.
It was.
You know.
There's a time and a place for everything, the Bible says, right? So
Right.
this was the right time. It should have happened a long time ago. But I'm so happy that you are on the show. I mentioned you almost every episode, and now here you are. The public gets to meet you. But I want to just ask you that. I mean, I want to shut up, let you talk, because you know me, I can talk the ears off a rabbit. So, talk to me. Tell me, what's your favorite show? Like, what out of all of them? What do you think? Where do you think we going?
Well, to me, all the shows are interesting, informative, and common sense. So I
Right.
really don't have a favorite, but it's some that comes to mind. And the one that really come to mind that bothered me was the number of black women dying during childbirth.
That's a tough.
When you have 66%, that's way too many.
Yes.
1% would be too many, but it should be 1 or 2, and that would still be too many. But it's
Right.
something that has to be looked into. We just can't let it pass. So that was a good one, and one that I think we will have to get more information on, because I thought that it would pass over, is AI.
Yeah.
But AI, the problem with AI is there's no limit to it. And anytime you have something that there's no limit, you have to be concerned.
Yes, good.
So we would have to have another more information on AI.
Yeah, I mean, where it's going, we don't see an end. I was actually having a conversation with a guy at the school today, and he said, when we saw the first Terminator movie, it had the date of 2029. He said it's
Yeah.
almost prophetic because we close to that date where now the machines are going to be taking over. Machines driving cars and parking cars, and it's getting to some whole other level. And like you say, that's the good side of it. The bad side of it is going to be all the things that we can't control or we haven't even thought about yet.
Right. The guy that made AI came up with the idea. He was on 60 Minutes yesterday, and he said he's afraid of it because he don't know where it's going to. So if he don't know, we really don't know.
Right, right. But what we do know is we already got like the Screen Actors Guild and the screenwriters boycotting and striking over AI. That's one part of the strike was because pretty soon AI could write the shows, or it could actually create an actor or whatever else, and then we would have real people not getting paid anymore. And that's just one segment. What about what
Uh,
it do to the auto industry or whatever other ways, like we said, we hadn't even thought about yet, how it could affect the bottom dollar or the economy. We just don't know. I mean, it's out there. And like you
what it
said,
would come, also what would come through during the wars. We don't know what limit it would go.
there you go. There you go. Now we're talking about the Terminator movie. We
Right.
don't know where it might go.
And
And that's really
the guy that made it, he said he don't know where it would go. So he said he made it and he's afraid. So we don't want to scare the people, but we want to know that they stay informed.
Oh yes, oh yes, and we're doing that. We're talking about it. Here we are at show 50, and there's subjects that we've talked about that we don't hear. Like you mentioned about the black mothers dying. That doesn't matter if it's one mother, and it doesn't matter the race of the person. But what we're
Eh,
finding, like you mentioned, is it's one race, and it's a huge percentage. And that just can't be. Like I mean, because we've been giving birth since Eve, and there's no reason for all of this death that we're seeing in record numbers, to the point that the government has put it on the CDC page. I mean, it's
Right.
an epidemic at this point, and I'm glad that episode stood out to you. But I want to mention to the public out there, you can chime in on this, because I was suffering, and it, with the loss of mom. And you guys married 54 years. That was my first love, and for I wasn't dealing with it at all. Crying every day, kind of thing. Didn't want to get out of bed. I mean, just not dealing well. And when you mentioned, I always say you mentioned the podcast, but there's something else you mentioned that I don't tell a lot of people. You told me, first episode I did, you told me, talk about your mom. And, with it being a self-help podcast, I think a lot of times about, helping others, but that episode helped me. So I was able to just bear it all on this microphone. And yes, I still hurt, and the pain's still there. But you know what? I can get out of bed now. And and the tears, they come, but they're not every day. So that episode helped me on my journey to healing. And I want to thank you for that. I didn't think I could do it. And you
Well,
knew I could do it. Thank
yeah. Well, I appreciate it, but that's something that we never get over. We just have to learn to deal with it, because after being married 54 years to a lady that we never had arguments, we never spent a day apart unless I was working, and I would count it as almost a perfect marriage. But we all miss her to the max. But
you. Yeah.
that's all we can do is continue to pray and continue to keep going.
Well, thank you so much for this, Dad. I'm not gonna keep you because I can hold you all night, and I do a lot of times. But I want to say this, and like I said, a lot of times, black people, black males, we don't say it enough. But I love you, and I am so proud to be your namesake. I'm proud to be the third.
Uh,
And go ahead.
I'm proud for you to be my son too,
And
and I really love you.
you mean so much to me. And I thank you for those words. And um, every day we talk every day. It might be 5 times a day. And I have told people about it. I say I don't care if we hang up that phone 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Every time we hang it up, we tell each other we love each other, and that comes from you. You once told me when I was a little boy. You said, whenever you hang up that phone, whenever you leave, you always say I love you because you just never know when that's the last time. And I do, Dad. You're such an intelligent man. You're such a good person, such a powerful person, and all the kind words I've gotten about this podcast. I always tell the people that if I at the end of the day I had to say my consultant or the editor of this is my father, because whatever you're feeling out there, those listeners, if you feeling love, you feeling compassion, you feeling intelligence, whatever it is you're feeling, it's coming from my father. I'm just that voice that happens to be on the microphone, but he's the thought, the heart behind it. And so thank you so much for being here. Show number 50, Daddy. We did
They
it.
did it,
we're
and
gonna
I'm
keep
going
doing
and I'm going to say like you. I can't wait for the next 50.
it. I love it.
I
Thank
love
you.
you.
I
Bye.
love you, Daddy. Have a wonderful night.
Love you. Bye, son.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Well, it is hard to believe, but here it is. We said at the beginning that this was going to be a part, and it has been. We have had an opportunity to talk to Miko, Darius, Andrew, and Sparkle. In addition to that, Cammie, and concluding with my father. You guys are so much appreciated for your calls in, being here on the show. and giving that love. It just means so much. That's a sunflower message within itself. As we move forward, folks, we're going to continue to have that main topic. We're going to continue to have our How Did We Get Here? In addition to that, the next episode of hobbies, special interests, that's still going to be there. We're just adding one more. A special segment to Live, Laugh, Talk on Mondays only will be his and hers with Miko. And then we're going to conclude every show with that beautiful sunflower message. We want you to remember, too, that we're nothing. We said it before, without you. We need you. And in saying that we need you, we want you to remember that you're needed in the way that you talk about the podcast to others. So if you be so kind as to continue to tell your friends about us, continue to tell your family. Some of you email other people. Some of you have told some other folks to listen. All the things that you do help support us, and we love and appreciate you for it. Also, you talked to Andrew and Sparkle today. You got a chance to meet them. Those are the creators of the swag, as we call it. So on Etsy.com, you want to go to How Did We Get Here? That's How Did We Get Here? That's the search, and you will see all of the merchandise that we have available at this time, which are t-shirts, tote bags. We've got hats coming, and we have coffee mugs. Last but not least, we want to mention that you can go into Cash App at $LiveLaughTalk.com, Twitter at LiveLaughTalker, and on Spotify. Press the $ to donate and support our podcast. Guys, 50 episodes in which I said that this is James and George's baby boy signing off. And as you know, I can't wait to talk with you again soon. Love you guys.